Hey everyone, welcome to this quick minute with Shayna. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today, this freezing cold last day of January. I have a great episode for you today. I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read or listened to on Audible that have impacted me in one way, shape, or form. And I'm going to share that with you because if you're like me, I like to try and read 1 to 2 books a month. Whether that seems high or low, I don't know. But for me, that's what I can digest. I usually listen to them on Audible, and that's how I get through them faster because I'm listening while I'm walking my dog or while I'm in my car. But then I also like to get the hard copy. So if I find a book that really impacted me, I will make sure I have the hard copy because I like to go back in and highlight sections and dog-ear pages and tab things so that I can easily reference them when I need to. It's hard to go into Audible and reference those kinds of things, but I do love Audible for listening while I'm on the go and learning while I'm on the go. And I am not affiliated with Audible at all. So just so you know, but it is an awesome app. It is an amazing program. So go check it out at audible.com. I believe it is if you're in the States, and audible.ca if you're in Canada. So before I jump into this episode, I just want to remind you today is the last day to get your entry in for the Beats headphones. So you just need to leave me a review on iTunes, hopefully 5-star if you love Keeping It Real with Shayna Recker, and take a screenshot of this podcast on your iPhone and tag me in your Insta stories with the @Shayna Recker. 1, I'm going to send you back some love, and 2, I'm going to DM you and get your email address so that we can add you into the draw. So don't forget about that. You have until the end of the day today to do that. Okay, so let's dive into some of my favorite books. So I have books here with me for those of you who are watching me on YouTube, and I'm gonna hold them up for you guys, and I also have my Audible app here. So I'm gonna be referencing all the things that are around me right now. So the first book that I'm actually gonna talk about is one of my all-time favorites. I'm gonna start with my all-time favorites. So this is the book called The War of Art. Now, The War of Art is written by Steven Pressfield, and it's about breaking through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. So why I love this book so much is, you guys, this book is all about resistance, procrastination, fear, which are technically all the same things. This book talks about what it is, what procrastination is, what resistance is, how it shows up in your life, and then how you can defeat it, how you can get through it so that you can do the things that you really want to do. How many times have you known that you have this thing that you need to tackle, you maybe have a bit of fear around it, and you find everything else to do in the house except for that thing. You have every excuse. Oh my gosh, the dishes need to be done. Oh, I should do the laundry that needs to go in. Oh, I should really call my mom, right? Like all of those things that come up for us when we're really avoiding what we really should be doing. And I love that he talks about how to overcome it and also about what's on the other side when you do overcome it. And so I don't want to give away all the juicy parts, but this book, as for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see how much highlighting and like papers and all these things that I have tabbed in this book because I reference this book all the time. It's an amazing book. So that's one of my first my first favorite books. So another one of my favorite books, this is kind of a three-fer deal. All 3 of these books kind of go together. And these are my go-tos. These are my like sort of life business Bibles, I guess you could say. So the first one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So this book, if you're in business and even in life, this is a must read. You must read this book. There are principles in this book that if you don't know, you're missing out. Like principles about how to become more successful, how to have the things you want in your life, how you should be thinking, just all of the stuff that you probably heard through all kinds of different trainings in your lifetime and in your career. But it's all kind of packaged in this one book. And Napoleon Hill was way ahead of his time because this book was written in the 30s, okay? And the principles and concepts he talks about in this book are mind-blowing. And when you read this, you're just kind of like, it's just kind of one of those moments where you're just like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I see why I keep, that doesn't work out for me, or why I keep, having these situations come up in my life that I don't like. And a lot of it, all of it has to do with the way we think. And I'm a big believer that everything starts and everything, your success starts in your mind before you're going to see it in real life. So this book talks all about that. So partnering that book with one of my all-time favorites, just as much as the two I've just talked about, is Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil. So this is a similar concept to Think and Grow Rich, only it is just, I don't even have the words to describe how much I'm in love with this book and what he talks about. Again, it goes through principles like in life, not even just in business, but in life, about how to basically win at life. And it's a conversation that Napoleon Hill is having with the devil himself. And it's just really interesting because, again, this book was written in the 30s. It was actually put away for reasons that, you know, Napoleon Hill, when he passed away, his wife hid this manuscript because they were like, there's concepts and things that are talked about in this book that back in the 30s, they would have been ridiculed for. And so she didn't want anybody to find this. And when you listen to this or read this book, I actually recommend the audiobook because the devil's voice in the audiobook is just like, it's just so good. But there are concepts that are discussed in this book that when you think about this was written in the 30s and you compare it to life now, you know, you realize that he knew things in his time that were way beyond where they were. He knew things about life that just people in that time didn't know. People in this time even don't know. And when you read it, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the real deal. So this is a book that I believe everybody should listen to as well. So this is an awesome book. It's called Outwitting the Devil. So on that same theme of books that were written in the 30s and the early 1900s, this is another book that I absolutely recommend that everybody pick up. And the cool thing is it's really short, just a little tiny wee book, but it's called The Science of Getting Rich. And this is another book that is got principles and concepts in it that have to do with the way that you think and how that your mind literally controls what happens in your life. What you see on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside. And if you want to have what he calls riches, which I believe are, yes, it's money, but it's also fulfillment, it's happiness, it's love. If those are the things that you want in your life, understanding the principles in these 3 books that I just shared with you, The Science of Getting Rich, Outwitting the Devil, and Think and Grow Rich, these are books that are going to change your life. And I don't say that lightly. Okay. So those are 3 books that, as you can see, there's lots of dog ears and tags in these books. So I absolutely love them. So those are 3 books that you should absolutely read this year. Okay. So I'm going to move on to, let's talk about money mindset. So one of the books that I read, actually, it's on my Audible, my hard copy I lent out, but it's called You're a Badass at Making Money by SINCERO. That book was a shifter for me because I'm somebody who struggles with poor money mindset, and I am actually overcoming that. I've made some great strides in my money mindset over the past year. And it was in reading that book that opened my eyes to the fact that I had a money mindset issue. And so Jen Sincero really, one, she's funny. I actually need to read her new book, but I've read You're a Badass, and then I read You're a Badass at Making Money. And that book just had an impact on me. I realized that I was the one who was sabotaging my success. I was the one who kept myself, you know, into a zone of income because of the way that I thought of myself. And so in reading that book, it's led me to other people and mentors like my mindset mentor and other books to help me overcome that. So one of the other books that I read around money mindset, and this one is not available on Audible. This one's only available on I think I got this on Amazon. It's called The Abundance Code by Julie Ann Cairns. And this book, it blasts through the 7 money myths that a lot of us were taught growing up. Things like money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard for your money. There's 7 of them altogether. And it's like, and then she also shares her story in the book as well. It takes money to make money, like all of those money myths that we've all heard, easy come, easy go. If any of those resonate with you, pick up this book, Money Won't Make You Happy. I'm just trying to get them all for you so you can see. Money corrupts you. Money is the root of all evil. Any of those myths that you've heard or that maybe you believe or maybe that you've had in your youth growing up, your parents used to say to you, some of those things are deep within us. And so this book really cracks the code on why those things are myths, that they're not true. And it really helps you understand, you know, your thinking when it comes to money. Like that's a thing, right? Like money is just energy. Money is just something that is around us, and it's in our thinking and how we see ourselves and what we believe and our beliefs that allow it to flow into us or not, or there goes my husband's texting me. Sorry. Whether it flows into us or it doesn't flow into us. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here. Okay. Okay, I had to regroup because I was getting text messages, and my even though my phone's on mute, when my husband texts me, it doesn't mute him because he's got a special setting. So anyways, for those of you guys on YouTube, you got to see that. Anyways, Abundance Code, Julianne Caron's amazing book. Okay, so let's go to, oh, this one is another incredible book. Now, this is a book that I also listened to on Audible, but I did get the hard copy because I loved what Marianne Williamson talks about in this book, which is The Law of Divine Compensation. Again, it's not a hard read. It's fairly short, but this book talks about just the universal laws, and the universal law, which is the law of divine compensation, and how, you know, the things that we do and the things that we think, how that impacts what we're given. So what you put out is what you get back. And the more people we serve and help, and the more good we do in the world, the more that comes back to us. But she tackles all kinds of different concepts around that in this book. She talks about guilt and fear and anger and just all kinds of things like surrendering yourself and faith. There were some really great lines and great things that she had said in here. I have tons of stuff of highlighted in this book because it was just like embracing abundance and how to do that. Just amazing universal concepts that have just had an impact on me, this book. And it's one of those books that I'll listen to it over and over again because it's hard to grasp all of the things that are in these books by just reading them once or just listening to them once. So that's another great book that I would totally recommend. Okay, so the next book that I want to talk about, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of, and I've listened to this book also, and this is by Mel Robbins, and it is the 5-second rule. Most of you, I think the whole world knows about the 5-second rule, but this is just a great book. Not only is the 5-second rule part of this book awesome, but I really connected to her story. Knowing that she had adversity in her life and that she was in a spot, you know, we've all been there. And when you realize that you're not alone, that if you're going through something, that all kinds of people who are very successful today have been through something similar, it just makes you feel like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep doing this. And so she shares the 5-second rule, which is to get over yourself, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do the thing. This book is amazing for helping you just wrap your mindset around that whole concept and how you can actually make like neurological shifts in your brain by just counting backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then doing the thing that is scary. So awesome book. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of that. Okay, so I'm going to move into, I've got 4 other books left. So hang in with me because you guys, there's more. Like I have more books. Like right now I'm listening to Shoe Dog, which is the story of Phil Knight, who created Nike. So I'm not done it yet, but awesome autobiography, listening to his story about how he built his business and all the struggles and all the adversity and all the things to get to being the mega corporation that they are today. Amazing story. Absolutely recommend that one. Okay, so back to business and personal development, which I guess that one is in a way, but this is a book by Grant Cardone called The 10 Times Rule. If you need to be jacked up or you need to be kicked in the butt to say like, dude, you're not doing enough, like you really want this amazing lifestyle, you need to freaking do more. And that's what he does in this book. He basically tells you that you are not doing enough. And if you want to live this abundant, you know, fulfilled, wealthy life, like you've got to kick it up. And this was a real ass kicking for me. So listening to this, I was just like, damn it, girl, you need to like do more. You need to, you know, show up more. You need to like really give it, right? So that's what this book does. So it's an amazing book. It's called The 10 Times Rule by Grant Cardone. He says the only difference between success and failure is by doing more, like just showing up more, because you learn through all of that stuff. So excellent, excellent book. Definitely read that. He's a fun one to listen to. So this was a really interesting book. I can't remember why I was given this book or why I picked this book up, but this is a book by, and I'm probably not going to say this right, by Jiang. And this book is called Rejection Proof. And I loved this book. I listened to this on Audible, and I love this book because what he did was he challenged himself to get 100 no's in 100 days, basically. It says how I beat fear and became invincible through 100 days of rejection. So he talks about all these different ways. Each morning he would wake up and he would have a challenge he would give himself, knowing that that challenge would put him in a fearful situation where he'd have to go, like the first one, he had to go and ask a security guard at an apartment building for $100. And basically he just had to go up to him and just ask him for $100, said he needed $100, could he give him $100? Knowing that the answer is most likely going to be no, and how he studied his reaction to the rejection. But what he found in some of the things that he did, and he did some crazy stuff in this book, was that there were people who didn't say no, and then also he studied how he felt about certain things. And then when someone did say no, what happened when he went back again? What happened when he challenged them? And it's just, you learn a lot about yourself and about how we deal with rejection and why we should not just sometimes just accept the no. So a really, really interesting book, definitely something I need to listen to again, because it was actually really entertaining too, listening to how, I know he went into a Krispy Kreme, and this woman, he wanted this crazy Olympic ring donut, so all these donuts together, and he was asking if she would make that for him, and she didn't say no, she said yes, and she went to work on it, and she actually did it, and she in the end, they ended up creating this giant donut of the Olympic rings. And it got on the news, and it totally propelled him and this book and his fame and his success into this, he had this major quantum leap because of the things that he did in this book. It's just such a cool concept, and I totally recommend this book for sure. Okay. 2 more. I could go on. I have more around here, but I'm just going to stop at these 2, and maybe I'll do a part 2 for this for some other books that I haven't even talked about yet that are on my Audible. A lot of these are on my Audible too, but there's even more books I have on my Audible. So this is an awesome book. It was a really unexpected story for me. I had heard of this book. I was in a place in my life where my energy and my mindset was in kind of a low space. And so I find that when you go to Audible, or even when you go to the bookstore, the book that you need in that moment will jump out at you. When I go to Audible and I'm kind of I'm not sure which book I need or whatever, I got my credit and I'm kind of surfing around and I'm kind of looking and searching, the right book will find me. And this was one of those instances. So this book is called The Energy Bus by John Gordon. And I'd heard of this book before, but I just never really had thought to grab it. And it was at a time in my life where I was, feeling a little bit not great. And so I got this book and I started listening to it. And I love it because this book is a story. So it's actually a story about a man who is just not in a great place. Marriage is not great. Business isn't great. He's just, every day he wakes up and he's just kind of frustrated and anxious and angry and all this stuff. And it talks about the story. He gets on this city bus that he has to ride because his car breaks down, all these things, but he ends up meeting this group of people on this bus, the bus driver in particular, and she teaches him lessons every time he gets on the bus about being positive and what that does for your life and what your energy and your state and how you show up every day affects everything around you. And so it's a really great story. And I think I gobbled this one up in a matter of 2 days, I think it was, in walking the dog. I was making excuses to get out and walk the dog just so I could listen to the whole thing. But she's like, our thoughts are powerful because they are loaded with energy, talking about that kind of stuff. And it's amazing when you realize how you show up every day affects not only your life, but everybody around you. And so it talks about all of those concepts. Excellent book. Absolutely add that to your list this year. Okay, so last but not least for this episode, this is an awesome book. So for those of you guys who are entrepreneurs and you want to just make your business happen this year, whether you're in the network marketing space or you're the solopreneur, the online person selling widgets, or you're a coach or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you're looking to build a business and you want to use social media to help you do that, this book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crushing It is an awesome book that goes through all of these apps, all of these social media platforms, and how you can use those platforms to really skyrocket your business. And what I love about this book, I mean, Gary Vee just tells it like it is, which I love that about him. But the other thing I love about this book is that he has real life stories of people who have started businesses from scratch, from their basement kind of thing, like at home, on their computer, just starting these businesses, and they use these platforms and they had these massive shifts in their business because of the work they did, because they showed up 10 times more than anybody else, because they took risks, because they were, just, they wanted it bad enough that they were willing to show up. And he has lots of awesome examples of people who have done that. And so I really resonated with the examples, just being an online entrepreneur, both in the network marketing realm and in my own coaching business. And so I was able to relate to a lot of the stories, and it just really opened my eyes to how to utilize these platforms, how to show up on these platforms, how to document, how to just, show people realness, show people real life, and just do the do, and people will find you, and it was just it's just a great book. I actually really like Gary Vee. I don't always necessarily agree with everything he has to say, but he's smart and he knows more than I do. So I trust him. He does the research, he does the stuff. So love this book. And I'm going to end it out with this book because I could literally be here talking to you guys forever. I'm just going to quickly scroll through my Audible and see if there's any other ones that are honorable mentions. The Alchemist, also an awesome book. I don't have the hard copy of that, but The Alchemist, it's like a fable, a story, and it's about a guy who is trying to find the thing, trying to find the thing to make this awesome life. And the thing he was looking for was with him the whole time. So it's kind of one of those fables. Awesome, awesome book. The Big Leap is another one that I really loved. That's an awesome, great book. Let's just see here. The 10 Times Rule, Extreme Ownership. That one is one I do have the hard copy somewhere. Extreme Ownership is an amazing book if you are leading a business of any kind, even if you don't have employees. It's all about taking ownership for yourself, ownership for everything that happens to you. And I love it because it's written by 2 Navy SEALs, JOCKO Willis and LEIF BABIN, and they relate their Navy SEALs operations that they've completed to business. And so when it's an entertaining book, listening to some of the things that they have to go through as being Navy SEALs and listening to the missions that they've gone on and all the different things, but then how they turn that around and relate it to business. Oh, so good. It's definitely one I need to listen to again. It's so good. A Tribe Called Bliss by Lori Harder. We love that book. It's all about, having a group of people, especially for women, to help lift you up and support each other. And it's just something that we all need to do. Girl, Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. Amazing book. I think all these other ones I talked about. So, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, which is also a really great one. Ego is the Enemy. That's an amazing book too. Talking about how you need to decipher who you're leading from or what you're leading from, your ego. It's just an amazing book by Ryan Holiday. So those are a few of the books that I have read that have impacted me in one way, shape, or form. Personal development is such a huge part of success in anything. And so if you're not reading right now or you're not listening to audiobooks, you definitely want to add that to your to-do list. Like today, start reading, start and digesting these books. They will change you, they will shift you, and you will be better because of it. I know Chris Harder, who I'm so excited to be joining his mastermind. We start in February. I'm doing his Fast Foundations mastermind. He did a challenge for himself where he read a book a day for 30 days. And he talks about how that completely changed his life. So if you're not reading, even if you do a book a month, that's 12 books this year, and that will definitely shift you into a new level of excellence. So that's it for me, guys, today. I hope that you found some value in this. I hope I gave you some great reads that you haven't read yet. Go grab them. I'm not affiliated with any of these books. I just love them. And I hope that they help you as much as they have helped me. So thanks so much for listening, guys. And for those on YouTube, See you later. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye for now.